Good morning, Year 4. Now, I'm aware that the videos that I've recorded for this week's learning have got no sound on them, so I'm going to re-record them now for you, so you can at least start this lesson. Okay, so by the end of this week, we are going to be writing our own narrative using our class text of Bojack Paw as inspiration. Okay, so today is Monday the 18th of January, and we're going to be using appositives, okay, by retrieving old learning, because this is nothing new. We've done this before, and quite a lot last term actually, so it's a bit of a recap for this term. And we're going to do that so we can write our own narrative using our class text as inspiration. Okay, now unfortunately I've got the sound on, but I haven't got a video of me in it, so you're just going to have to hear me, I'm afraid, rather than see me right now. Okay, but I'm hoping to get that sorted for tomorrow's lesson. Okay, so quick recap then, either on a scrap piece of paper or just to the person in the house or near you. What do we put on each card? Okay, so we've got our rainbow grammar cards here. What do we put on each card? And then what word class do we underline on it? Can you pause the video here and remind yourself, what do we put on each card? What word class do we put underneath? Okay, so on our green card, we have our subject of our sentence, and we underline the noun on that card. Our orange card makes our predicate. Now that is what the subject is doing. It starts with our verb. We always underline the verb of our subject, of our predicate. Then we end with our punctuation. Our blue card is more detail that we can add to our sentences. So these three cards here make up a main clause that makes sense all by itself. We can add more information by using the subordinate clause, starting with our subordinating conjunction. Okay, and finally, our grey card that we were introduced last term is our appositive. Okay, and on that card, we don't actually need to underline that. So let's remind ourselves, what is an appositive? So rewind again. You can either write this down on a bit of piece of paper or just take it from the back of your brain and put it onto the working bench in the front of your memory. Okay, so we're just going to recap what is an appositive. Okay, so remember that an appositive is a noun phrase that explains or expands upon another noun or noun phrase. So our appositive will follow our subject card, okay, and it gives us more information about that subject. For example, Augustus is our subject. First Roman Emperor, this makes our appositive. It's between two commas, and it's more information about our subject. Augustus, the first Roman Emperor, ruled, let me swap that, from 27 BC until his death in 14 CE. So this part here that I'm highlighting right now becomes our appositive. This is more information about our subject. Okay, so as we always do in our rainbow grammar sessions, we're going to do a my turn first. This is where I'm going to give you the sentences. I'm going to tell you exactly where the subject is, exactly where my appositive is, and exactly where my predicate is. Okay, so this is my turn. I'm going to show you, remind you about using an appositive. Okay, Snoke is the subject of our sentence. We've underlined her because she is our noun. I've added an appositive, and you'll notice our appositive because I've done it in grey, because that's the colour card that it would go on. Miss Snoke, a teacher at Wyndham Primary Academy, watches Marvel every weekend. Our predicate starts with our verb and tells us what Miss Snoke is doing. Our appositive gives us more information about Miss Snoke. Okay, we can use it again in the same kind of way, using Mrs. Tildesley as the subject. Appositive becoming a mother of two, goes walking with her family. Okay, goes becomes our verb, even though walking is the action part of our verb. We need the goes in front of it to make it make sense. So Mrs. Tildesley, a mother of two, goes walking with her family. And finally, the large round table in the middle of the room was very messy. Again, we can use the subject, doesn't have to be always a person, it can be anything. And the information, the extra information about that subject, our appositive, goes in between our subject and our predicate, and it is broken up by two commas. You'll notice also that our appositive never starts with a verb. Our verb comes in on our predicate. Okay, so something to remember, if I've got a verb in my appositive, then it's not an appositive. I need to go back and change it. So I like to use a or in because that tells me that I'm definitely using the positive. Okay, we're going to move to our turn now. This is where you have a go. I have given you 2 sentences. I only need you to copy down one of these. Now, I would like you to copy down this into your yellow jotter if you have one at home. If not, just get your purple Boxset book and just turn to the back. Okay, turn to the back of your Boxset book. And all I would like you to do is write down one of these sentences. Okay, so Varjak, a Mesopotamian blue, was different to all of his family. Or the black cats, both identical to each other, were guarding the staircase. Write one of those sentences down in the back of your book. And can you then locate the subject? Okay, you can locate the subject by just drawing an arrow to it and labeling it. Okay, if you have the correct colours, green at home, you can underline the subject for me. However you want to locate it and label it, you can, either drawing a nice neat line and labeling it as a subject, or if you have the correct colours, it's not necessary, but if you have the correct colours, then you can underline it. Okay, then can you locate the verb? Which part is the verb of my sentence? Okay, which is the bit that's the doing word, because that way I'll know exactly where my predicate is once I locate the verb. And then where is the appositive? I know the appositive has got to give me more information about my subject. Also, it is between 2 commas, and it comes before my verb. So it comes between my subject and my verb. And then can you locate the full stop? I would like all of these labelled on one of these sentences. So if you'd like to pause the video here and get on with that bit of information. Okay, I'm going to go through these very quickly. If you did the first sentence, you'll notice that Varjak is the subject of our sentence, so he would be green. A Mesopotamian blue is between my 2 commas, and it gives me more information about Varjak. There's also not a verb in there. Okay, so I can locate that as my subject, my appositive. Finally, was different to all of his family, makes my predicate, and then my punctuation at the end. Okay, if you did the second sentence, I've got my black cats. The black cats are the subject of my sentence. They become green. Both identical to each other becomes my appositive because it's given me more information about those black cats. And finally, we're guarding the staircase becomes my predicate. Okay, ended with my stop. Okay, if you made a mistake in your own work, that's absolutely fine. Remember, you are able to make mistakes. Just go back and change it. Okay, and just change those labels now. So rather than crossing out your work, remember this is your workbook at school, even if it is your jotter that you're working in. Okay, please try and keep it nice and neat. Just rewrite the sentence again and just fix those mistakes. Okay, because it's absolutely fine to make mistakes. Okay, so we've done my turn, where I showed you exactly the right answers. Then we've gone through our turn when we've worked through it together. In a second, you're going to have a go at your turn. But before we do that, I would like you to just have a go at this first. In order to write your own appositives, I want you to come up with some of your own first. In the back of your Boxset book or in your jotter, whichever one you've just written your sentence, I want you to have a go at this first. I've written the name of my subject in these 3 circles. Now remember, the part of the narrative we're going to be rewriting is when Varjak is in the hallway by himself and gentlemen and the cats come in. The stranger walks in. Okay, so what we're going to focus on, I've already given you one here. I've got Varjak. It's the name of my subject. That's why he's in my green circle. Then around the side of my name, I'm going to write some examples of an appositive. I only really need 2. So I've given Varjak a Mesopotamian blue. It's one example of an appositive I can use to describe Varjak. Okay, then I would like you to do the same again for cats. And my appositive for the cats, are they identical to each other? Okay, and I can think of another one, move the same way. Actually, I can't have that because move is a verb. Okay, so you've got to think of a different appositive to have around cats. And then again for gentlemen. So I've got gentleman, tall, dark figure. Okay, Can you come up with one more positive around these three subjects? I'm going to get you to pause the video here, and again, in the back of your box set book or in your yellow jotters, wherever you've just written your sentences, I would like you to give yourself these three organisers. Now, these are called bubble organisers because we've got our bubble in our focus in the middle, and then ideas around the side. So our focus is our subject, and around the edge, I would like you to write 2 examples of an appositive for each. Remember, your appositive does not contain a verb, okay, like I did over here. Pause the video here for me and just them. Okay, finally, this is where it is your turn. This is where I would like your work put into your box set book at the front. Okay, so what I would like you to write is go to a brand new clean page in your box set books. I would like you to write today's date, which I'll remind you of again in a minute. It's Monday, the 18th of January. Underneath the date, could you please write English? Underneath that, rainbow grammar and appositives. I will write all this down for you in a second. And I want you to write 3 sentences with an appositive in your box set book. So what I'll do is I'll move this down here and remind yourself of the date. Okay, so this is what I would like you to write in your top corner of your box set book. Today's date, which is Monday the 18th of January. I'd like you to write English because that is the subject that you are doing your work in. And then I would like you to write rainbow grammar positives because that is our focus. I would like you to underline all of that neatly as you can. And then I would like you to write 3 sentences that contain an appositive. So, for example, Varjak, a Mesopotamian blue, watched as the strange man entered the room. The black cats, identical to each other, guarded the staircase like soldiers. Gentleman, a stranger to the house, loomed over the cats. Okay, so I've given you 3 examples of different verbs that you could use, but you need to finish off the sentence, finish off the predicate to make it make sense. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, you should have 1 sentence written and labelled with subject, verb and appositives in the back of your book or in your jotter. Then you should have 3 examples, okay, of different subjects. Surrounding them, I would like 2 appositives for each. I've already given you 1 for each one, so you can come up with another one. And then finally, 3 sentences with an appositive in your box set book. Okay, so this is going to go in the front of your box set book with today's date, title, and subject. Okay, I've given you these you can use, but you might have a better appositive when you came up with your ideas here that you can use yourself. As always, please can you show us your work on Class Dojo either via your portfolio or your messages so we can see how you're getting on and provide feedback. Okay, can't wait to see you soon. And bye.